going on, everybody? I'm Brett Bella Rookie, and I think it's time for me to share my accident story with you. 1 year ago today, I was in a really bad motorcycle accident. Actually, as of about right now, it's about almost 4 a.m. They were rushing me in the back of an ambulance to Lehigh Valley Hospital, where it wasn't looking too good. I guess it was just the way I was living. I was coming home one night in the woods, and I don't know if I miscalculated or what happened, but I smashed out pretty hard. The bike, from what I was looking at, when the impact hit, it pretty much, the handlebars just cut me in half. I broke my neck, my spine. I broke 30 of the 33 vertebrae in my spine. The mid to top portion is bolted together. I broke both my collarbones, both of my shoulder blades. My ribs. I chopped my finger off. The handbrake cut off my finger. And it was still hanging on, but it was not really hanging on. And amongst many other injuries that I sustained, but pretty much everything from the waist up was gone. I guess I just dumped my bike and thought I gotta keep going, and I got up, I guess, and was walking down the road, and some couple found me, and I collapsed shortly after. And when I went to Lehigh Valley, I went into a coma. I spent 14 days in a coma, and man, the wildest journeys and things imaginable happened while I was gone. It wasn't looking good. For a good 4 days, my finger was still hanging on, and they weren't really sure if I was going to make it. I also forgot to mention that I had heart and lung surgery as well, and there was machines breathing for me. My finger couldn't hold on anymore, so my mom actually had to be the one to tell them to chop it off. So they cut it off at the bedside, and I woke up 14 days later total. So that would have been 10 days later out of the coma. And as wild as it was for me to be gone, it was very wild to come back. And my Lord, to not really understand any of this. I couldn't move my arms, I couldn't move my legs. Doctors were concerned that I wasn't going to be able to regain functionality like I used to be. Growing up snowboarding, skateboarding, always been pretty active. That never really crossed my mind, to be honest, because as long as I was awake, even though I was very heavily medicated, I felt like there was a piece of land that I could still stand on. There was still hope for me. I spent 1 month in the hospital. So I went in July 10th and I came out August 10th. And while I was in there though, towards the end, I learned how to walk in like 10 days, which they found pretty interesting. I mean, I wouldn't consider it walking. I wasn't grooving. I was definitely not grooving, walking with some style. It was very difficult. When I would walk around for like a good minute, it was time to get medicated and go back, because I felt like I was just in the elite marathon or something. And it was like, wow, a lot of exertion used up in 30 seconds. So I would just go back to bed, and when I got out, my family was concerned about this being like a long-term process. Like, they weren't sure how long does somebody really take to recover from impact like this. This is really severe. And just like anything else, man, you give me a piece of land to stand on, and I felt like I'm gonna make my own situation out of it. I'm gonna do the best and work the hardest that I can to make the recovery that I can. And I remember, like, my brain wasn't really working good. I would put the subtitles on movies as I just sat there and watched the movies. And it helped me read along, because even simple literature was really difficult. You're just gone, man. Besides the medication and all the trauma, breathing was hard, laying was hard, sitting up was hard, doing anything was hard. And reading was really hard. Like, I would just see the words come up, and I'm like, that might as well be Japanese, some symbols and stuff. And I got it going, and I would try to move around as best as I could. Like I said, I was still very frail and not able to really do anything. When I went in, I was about 100, close to 160 pounds. When I got out, I was 128 pounds, and I'm about 5'8". So I was pretty much bone, skin and bone was left. The muscles that were the interior, tiny little micro muscles were eating themselves because there wasn't really much left. And even eating was tough because I had to learn how to acquire an appetite, eating through tubes forever. I remember when I got to eat my first meal, I just looked at it, I was like, what am I supposed to do with this? Like, I've been eating like an alien through my stomach this whole time. I don't need to eat with my mouth. Like, it was very hard. Like, you would think you would just bite right in. But no, that was a challenge as well. And when I was home, I couldn't really do anything myself. Like, I was not able to shower by myself, embarrassing. It's all embarrassing. Like, look what you've done to yourself. But I tried to just maintain a cool composure and focus on what I could do right. And just by the reading and the little things that I could do, I started moving around. And once I got to the point where I had some maneuverability, I started taking short walks outside and stuff like that. And luckily for me, there's a hospital right down the street, and I would get rides to therapy. I began therapy 2 months after I got out, and I did that for 18 weeks, and I met a man named Bill. And I gotta say, that man was really nice and kind and cool, and he seen a broken 31-year-old man that looked like a skeleton, and he accepted me for who I was, and just worked every little inch that he could to get some mobility back. My arms wouldn't even come up past my waist, and walking was still difficult, but I was starting to get more of that going. And even some days I would walk to therapy. It's a couple miles, but I was like, man, I want to get my legs, and I want my body back. And so we started therapy, and it was mainly just basic stretching and in the beginning, like him just working out the motions, getting the rust off the machine. And little by little, we worked our way up to slight treadmill stuff and slight weights. And it wasn't at this point that I realized that fitness was something that was truly calling me. It was just, I needed this in order to keep moving forward. And I just stuck to it. And he would give me tasks and things to do. And when I went home, I would really try to do them to the best of my abilities, and also incorporate little things that I felt that worked for me. And through time, through the 18 weeks, we progressed and progressed. And I gotta say, if it wasn't for Bill, I probably wouldn't be here even nearly as close to what I am now, training with the elites. Towards the end of getting out of therapy, I started training with my friend Brandon, and we were training in LA Fitness. And one thing you gotta know about my buddy Brandon is that man goes intense. He knows that I was hurt. He knew what it was. Even though he wasn't feeling my pain physically, he knew I was hurt, but man, did we really put it on. And we were doing significant weight training for what I should have been able to do at the time. And definitely wasn't that level. So I had to make follow-up appointments with Bill. So I started doing some stuff with Brandon, and we were using the pool because I like to swim. And man, I was having a good time swimming. But this was like the dead of winter in December. We're just training, and we were doing like two muscle groups a day, like 6 to 10 exercises per muscle group, like way beyond what you should be doing, and training like 7 days. And when I came back to see Bill for a follow-up, he's like, well, you looking a little better. What have you been doing? I was like, man, I've been training. Like, he's like, training? He's like, what's that entail? I'm like, dude, I leg press like 320. I'm like, I was swimming, I was doing this. He's like, yeah, you don't need to be here anymore. And he kind of just did some last minute follow-ups and sent me on my way. And I was sad to see that come to an end, because at this point in my life, you gotta understand, like, I was laying on my back. Many people came to visit me and were messaging me and stuff, but like, I miss seeing people hanging out, and like, I was building a good friendship with Bill through this training, and he really helped me in ways that it's more than just rehabilitation. So I thank you, Bill. And he sent me on my way, and then I really ramped it up, started training with Brandon. And man, we went hard. We went hard for 30 days. I remember we did like 30 some days in a row. And me and Brandon were just coasting through. We had the notebooks, and we were tracking everything. I remember I wrote like my first reps with a feather. I'm like looking back and like, man, that was like some caveman stuff right there. And then, you know, now we're using apps and all that stuff. But towards the end of training with Brandon, I had developed a lot of knowledge and a lot of information that could benefit me. And it was at this point I started to fall in love truly with it, because I would see the progress. To see like my arms were getting better, and I could hold them up longer, and the micro progressions, I started to see like, wow, you know, imagine if I really focus on this, what could I become? And I took a lot of information that Brandon showed me, and he had a lot of great knowledge, but there was also some things, there were some holes and cracks that need to be filled, as anything that you're doing and learning and building. Even to this day, I'm still developing new theories and new techniques and learning stuff all the time. But I took a lot of that information and I kind of tweaked it and made it my own. And towards the end of the training with Brandon, you know, work picked up, life goes on, he's got kids, and he wasn't able to come with me as much anymore. But towards the end of that, I started training with my friend Maria at Planet Fitness at night. And it was at this point I started to see things molding, and I had rehabilitated my body to some degree to where I was like, yeah, you know, I'm looking better, I'm feeling better, but I'm not what I am now. And me and her really started training. We spent like the first month doing just incline bench push-ups and overhead kettlebell carries and just general strength conditioning of the body, because I felt at this time she was not ready for high intensity, hybrid volume training, which is what I'm training now. She wasn't ready for that physically or mentally, like we to break in a little bit. And I still was developing myself and was still improving in areas. So like 20 bench push-ups were still quite difficult at the time, but we were powering through. And we trained like that for a month, and then we got into the high intensity, hybrid volume training. And she gave me her all, and man, in like 2-3 months that she trained with me, I was seeing 60-pound increases from her on like every machine. And we weren't just adding on little bits of weight. We were training to our pretty much maximum capability. Then I really started focusing on my training, and I trained 4 days a week. No longer 7 days a week, every single day, 2 times a day. But I trained 4 days a week in powerlifting and bodybuilding in a regiment that I'm calling it's a high intensity hybrid volume training, combining high intensity heavy weight workouts with very high volume in short periods of time. It's a killer, man. I started getting in motion and moving and seeing the definition and things change and the levels of strength, and not only be able to recover from this, but to look at my old self and be like, dude, you had nothing compared to this. Like, I not only regained my body back, but I regained it and times 2, like in 7 months of training. And I think the moral of the story is that, you know, no matter what life throws at you, what it gives you, try to turn that into something bigger. I never thought I would be into fitness. I never was into the gyms, and like I was always active and like being outside and snowboarding and climbing mountains, doing all kinds of stuff like that. But I never thought that I would be so heavy into the weight training. And now I can't even see the end. There is no end. I just want to continue to build massive strength increases and continue to improve my body, and not only do that, but help everybody else. You know, if there's people out there that are injured and feel like, because I know what it feels like when you get knocked down so hard. You know, even Ali didn't get hit that hard, and you come back and you're like, what have I done? Like, how am I gonna make it all these things come into your mind. You just feel like you want to give up, but you can't. And it is possible. It is possible to become even better than what you ever were. It is possible to be whatever you want to be, and I want to share that with you guys. And I thought that if I trained hard and I made some sufficient results, I know I'm not the biggest guy in the world, but for 144 pounds, I can put some weight down. And I trained really hard, and I want to share that with you, and I want to help everybody improve and increase and create a different side of fitness that I guess you don't really see. Everybody sees this polished version, but this is the raw truth. This is the reality. And for me to be able to come back from something like this, it's not easy stuff to do. And I'm proud of the gains. I'm proud of the work that I put in. And now I want to share that so other people can be proud and get to where they need to go.